Yeah.
All right, go to music. Here we go. Just going through this thing. Here we go.
Identified pro-black.
History is about teaching us as a people that war.
I want to speak about the image of our people. We have to be protective of our image.
Our ancestors, they were oppressed, and we are oppressed today.
Hotel, Uncle Jah, welcome to another live broadcast of the Jah
and the Kev show.
That's right. And today we have some information that we all must talk about because this information is very important. Today's title is called Paying the Toll. In other words, we're going to talk about not reparations. We're going to talk about the debt, Kev, the debt that is owed to the enslaved African Americans and their great sacrifices. I want to start off by asking you this, though. You normally ask me questions, but I want to return the favor. Why do we need to have this? Why do we need to have this conversation?
Man, this is when you said that you wanted to talk about this, I was like, yeah, I like this because actually we got into this topic. We bled into this discussion after our last show.
Yeah,
and we were talking about things that that was happening in this country. And a lot of things. I think that it's important for us to have this type of show. We always talk about reparations. And when you first said, I said, oh, you want to talk about reparations? You're like, no. So, and when you said it, I was like, yeah, this is something that we need to cover because it's important on both ends.
Okay.
As far as we as a people are concerned, we need to show that respect.
Wow.
That debt that we're talking about is showing respect and acknowledgement.
Okay.
Not necessarily, money. We're not talking about money.
Right.
But and then for people that come to this country,
Uh-oh.
how they look at us, how they treat us.
Yeah.
And they're traveling on a road that our people paved. And they're traveling on this road with comfort.
Wow.
And they're not understanding
right.
that, hey, the comforts that you are enjoying, somebody paid for that.
That's right.
And it should be a toll road.
Exactly.
Pay the toll, at least in the toll is acknowledgement and respect. And I think that that's what's lacking.
Okay.
With a lot of the immigrants that come to this country.
Wow. We're going to get into a lot of that on this broadcast, y'all. But I also want to flip the record over on the other side and tell Kev this too. What he just said is so true. But I want to add to that because there are some of us who live in this country who benefited from the great sacrifices that our ancestors have made. And yet we seem like we don't give two hoots about that unless someone else tells us a certain day to acknowledge them. But we don't make this a part of our lives, our children's upbringing, because our children should know the great sacrifices that our ancestors paid for all of us. And so you were so spot on when you said not only the immigrants owe a debt, but all of us do, Kev, because of our ancestors went through so much. And I know we can't sit here and tell everybody the exact things they went through as far as their sacrifices, but that makes you and I say we are proud to be here because of what was paved, the toll that was paid for us.
Right. So let's do this. Let's break it off into two parts.
Okay.
Let's talk about the first part of others showing that debt.
Okay.
And then at the second part of the show, let's break it off into us paying, because you can't charge somebody else for not doing something if you're not doing it yourself.
That's true.
So let's do that.
That's true.
Let's get off into it, man.
Okay. Well, the first thing I want to say about that second part first is this. I know some people, not all, but I know some people who come from different countries, like say, for example, Africa. I have friends that are in Fort Wayne, Indiana. When I lived there, we would have debates all the time. And I could not believe how insensitive they were to being here and who paid the way for them to be here. In other words, we would have conversations about what our ancestors did and didn't do. But yet at the same time, it was because of them that you're able to come here.
Right.
And so we need to open this can of worms up to say that everyone that's here, regardless of where you're from, as far as an immigrant, you ought to be very grateful as opposed to come over here with your nose up in the air and thinking that you're better than people are trying to tell us what to do.
All right. And that's very true. And I'm going to get into a story, something that happened, experience that happened. And we have a lot of experiences. Many of us don't even realize some of these experiences have to do with this topic.
Okay.
The disrespect and the lack of respect. But I had a a product that I went to purchase at someone's establishment.
Okay.
And the brother was he was an African brother, and that is the reason why I went to purchase this product from him. And when I went, I was happy to purchase it and everything. Now the product wasn't that good. It wasn't good, and that's a lot of things that happen. You know, we could say, well, our supermarket, this black supermarket, isn't as good as this major chain. It's not supposed to be. But the brother was trying to do something, and I supported it. So what happened is I had to bring the product back. It was something that needed to be reprogrammed every once in a while. And I was even helping or advertising his product to other people. And I was like, hey, man, it's a brother selling this, blah, blah, blah. And I purchased it, and I had to go back. And he had actually a Facebook page where he was taking, you know, comments, and people were talking about, hey, I can't do this on it. And he's like, well, bring it back in. Let me program it. Let me do this. So I brought my product back in. And in the midst of me standing there waiting for him to reprogram it, he had the television on and had the news. Something about it was black people doing something, rioting, not rioting, but boycotting and marching. And he said, he shook his head. He said, like, they was fools. And I'm like, and I'm looking at him, you know, that kind of like, I'm like, so why you say that?
Right.
He said, man, all of that stuff. He said, it ain't about black and white. It's about money. He said, it's about green. He said, then he said, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all of them was fools.
Come on, Kevin.
So, you know, I bit my lip and I'm like, so why you say that?
Right.
He said, man, they died for nothing. And he said, the same stuff that they was fighting for is still going on. So they basically died for nothing. So I was ready to get my product and get up out of there. And we kind of had an abrasive communication after that.
Right.
Because I kind of went on his page and I was down in his product. I'm like, I'm supporting you because you was black.
Right, right.
You know, which he is. But then you're not really on the outside.
Right.
Now, he was a brother from Nigeria by the way of France. I mean, he is an African, a Nigerian. He went to France, and I think that's where he was born.
Right.
And his parents was Nigerian. Then he came to America. Now he's benefiting off of the same things that these civil rights and human rights people advocated and fought for and bled for.
Right.
And you are appreciating it, and you sitting up here talking about they was fools because it's all about money.
You know, that's one of the most ridiculous mindsets that is out there, but it's out there. Just like some people come from Mexico and other countries and they come here. And okay, we okay with you coming here, but you have to pay that toll, Kev. You have to pay that respect because, again, where were you when our ancestors were being beaten, whipped, hung, lynched, raped, plundered, and pillaged? You know, and it's okay to come over here, but you have to respect those who laid the foundation for you. And that's the problem that I have with some of the people that come over here, because not all of them are like that, but there are some that are like that, because they don't think enough of those who made it possible for them to get here. And that's the discussion that a lot of us, we ignore. You see, we let people come over here and we put them in front of us because they look like us, or because they're struggling, or because they're going through some type of oppression. And we're saying we get that, but you have to make sure that the cards are in order. And there's no way that you can come to a country where people have paid a great sacrifice and then put yourself in front of those who should be benefiting, and then put the people down that are the very people that made it possible, their ancestors, for you to get here, man. And I think we should have this discussion. You told me something about a movie star, even though we can get to that sometime in the later on, but just share, you know, you said a movie star said something about last week or so that this doesn't make any sense what we're talking about. You know, was it Morgan Freeman or something?
And what they were saying was basically about, we were talking about Black History Month.
Okay.
And they were saying and I don't want to just put it on one, but you be hearing some of these guys or these celebrities or these people, they say, well, you know, they need to get rid of that.
Why?
And that's what, and what they're saying is, first of all, it's the shortest month of the year, and you're acting as if someone else gave us that. We fought for that.
That's right, brother.
You know, that was Carter G. Woodson that said he wanted to start a Black History Week.
That's right.
And then of course it grows into a month. But the thing about that, he was saying, you know, why do we have to have it? You don't have an Irish History month, you don't have Italian History Month. Well, the thing is, you don't need to, because they acknowledge them.
It's already
this is us saying we need to acknowledge us. And not only that, if it was acknowledged in this country, and looked at in this country, who paved the way, to some of these ignorant immigrants that come here, if they had to learn that type of stuff and learn why they were able to come through that toll gate, they would pay that toll in that acknowledgement and that respect. So that's the ignorance of some of us that speak on that, even us that speak on why we got a Black History Month, and why they gave us the shorter. Ain't nobody gave us nothing.
That's right.
We fought for that. We asked for that. We wanted that. They didn't even acknowledge it. I think Ford was the first president that even mentioned the words Black History Month. And we had been doing it since the early 1900s. So this has nothing to do with the government giving us anything. So when you see these other entities, NBA, NFL, or they acknowledging something that we built.
Right. And that's so true, because even when you look at the context to Black History Week, now Black History Month, you have to ask, okay, well, why did that start? And what was the reason and purpose for that? Well, we didn't have any type of historical acknowledgement of our greatness. And so our people said, Carter G. Woodson and other men and women said, hey, we are a great people. We've come from a great past, and we've also done some great things in this country. So let's celebrate those things, because they weren't being taught in high school. They weren't being taught in elementary ed school. They weren't being taught in college. So they said, well, damn, if nobody's going to acknowledge us, we're going to have to acknowledge ourselves. And that's one of the things that we continue to talk about. When you come to this country, I don't care where you come from, you need to pay homage to those who set and paved the way, because the bottom line is, if it weren't for them, you wouldn't be able to come here. And when it was hot, Kevin, when it was hot, man, when it was all the killings, the lynchings, the murders, the rapes, the pillage, and the plunder, where were these people?
Yeah. Now, you brought up the Mexicans that come over from Mexico. Some of them that's already here, and it's the same type of thing. And you have to, I used to post things about even they were lynched. If they spoke Spanish or something like that, they were being lynched also. I think it was 1,000-something Mexicans lynched. But they have to understand that that this was the history, and that we fought for these things to stop. And we fought, even though the Asians could say they were here for a long time, you didn't get to ride in the front of the bus.
That's right.
The Mexicans didn't get to ride in the front of the bus. The Irish, they were treated awful. They didn't get those privileges. Like, and then it's only ones I remember the Birmingham boycott. I don't remember the San Antonio boycott or the New York Little Italy boycott or anything like that. That was us fighting for things like that. And for these people to come over here, Johnny come lately, come over here and don't understand, and they look at us like that, like they're better than us. And just because they may be treated better than us, they still need to understand and acknowledge why they are being treated the way that they're being treated.
You said a mouthful. That is so true. And it's like, how can you come to a place where you see that the benefits that you're reaping was paid for by someone else, and have the audacity, to have the mindset that you are better, or that you deserve something, or that you downgrade the very people who put you in that position when you look at it from a cultural and historical perspective. And that's one of the things that we must continue to say. Now, people might look at this broadcast today and say, oh, these guys are bashing immigrants. Well, hell, we're not bashing immigrants. We're saying that whoever comes, I don't care if you come from the continent, the motherland lately, I don't care where you come from. All we're saying is you better recognize that the reason that you're here and that you're successful is because of some people that came before you many, many years and paid a great sacrifice. And we're not just talking about them getting something. We're talking about death. We're talking about destruction. We're talking about wives being separated from their husbands, babies being taken from their mothers, brothers and sisters being separated, sold. We're talking about people who fought, people who ran through woods, who tried to be free, people who was lynched, people like Ida B. Wells, who talked about the ideal of this is not right. And so now here you come after all this is over with, and you're going to talk about us. You got another thing coming. You done got me hard. You done got me hot, man. Let me settle down. Because you done
Nah. Let's burn. Let's burn, man. Let's burn. Let it burn.
Right.
Because see, the thing is, like you mentioned that, there's layers to that. There's layers to that. Because they look at America, those outside of America look at it as a great place. Why is it a great place? Because that blood, the blood, sweat, and tears that we shed help make this place. They got free labor.
That's right.
To make America what they think was great or what it is. And I had a brother from the motherland tell me, man, we were in in a business agreement doing things back and forth, and he was like, man, I want to come to America. And I asked him why. And he always asked me how, and I'm telling him, well, it's two folds to America. It's America that y'all see and America that we live.
Right.
And he was saying, I wish I could come there. And he's had all these grandiose dreams. I do this and I do. I said, well, brother, it's not what you think. It's not just going to happen. No, it'll happen because I'm going to work hard. And what you're inferring is that we don't work hard. And that's why we go through the things we do.
Yeah.
And, he had these, the misconceptions. I told him that. I say, you have misconceptions. I say, when you come here, they're not going to care about how hard you work. When you get pulled over, they're not going to care about your job or how many jobs you have.
Right.
They're going to look at you.
And you know the rest. Yeah. And it's so sad that we have to talk like this, but we do, because people don't realize this whole misnomer about Black people, that when people come over here, they look at us African Americans and they say, we don't work hard. Well, we built this country. We're the ones who worked hard. We worked harder than anyone.
Looking at our work.
Exactly. And you're benefiting from our work. But yet at the same time, you have bought and drank the Kool-Aid that they sold you about us as a people. And so now you look at us the same way other people look at us, and they have their own racial reasons to. But you have no reason and no business to do that. But when you're taught history and you're taught it the right way, as you and I are teaching it today, then you would see that, hey, I owe a debt of gratitude, and I'm not taking that back today. I would never take it back. For anyone to come to this country and look at our ancestors and try to say something about us that's negative or them, you have another thing coming, because you should be straightened out with the
and you don't realize the reason you're seeing the things that you're seeing in the Black community is those things have been imposed upon us and imprinted upon us. And if it's an onslaught, there's an attack on our culture constantly to keep us at a certain level. So you should be empathetic when you come here, because you should have the empathy of seeing a people that has been downtrodden from, and wherever you're trying to escape from, that if you're under those type of conditions, you're trying to escape to a place that those conditions still are in effect. And you should, and even though they may put you on that rung of a ladder higher than us, you should still look at us and say, hey, I empathize for that, because I understand.
Yeah, somebody said you ought to, when an immigrant comes over here, they ought to kiss the African Americans' feet. And that doesn't mean to belittle them. They're just using it as a pun to say that we were the ones who made it possible for you to be here. Because I keep going back to my rhetorical question, which is, when all the stuff had hit the fan, where were you? You waited until the civil rights came and everything was good. Then you came over here. Then you became doctors. Now you're our doctors. You're our lawyers. You're our politicians, and you're from another country, and you're going to tell us what to do. You got yourself you mixed up in that way.
They're able to ride comfortably on this road that we paved, that we built, that we said it need to be a road.
Right.
We're going to build this road. We're going to fight for this road. There's people that beat us and kicked us and spit on us and did all of that so that road wouldn't get built. And we had leaders that died for this road to be built. Then you come over here and you ride on this road, you need to pay the toll. And that toll is respecting with that road that you're able. They come over here and you're given a grant to start a business. We're not giving things like that. So you think you come here and you're better than us. And if that's your mentality, then somebody need to correct your mentality. You better pay that toll. And if they're not paying that toll and that's their attitude, then boycott they.
That's right. Because this is why it happens like this too. Because a lot of these doctors, these Indian doctors, come from India. Most of them, these specialists and all these people, they come over here and they don't realize, they just see people have painted a picture for us. And so they see us with disdain and disgust, and they utilize us, they use us, they take our money, they take our time, they take everything from us. And at the end of the day, they're not willing to stand up and say, I owe a great debt to the African Americans, those who were enslaved, that paved the way for me. So I must pay the toll. See, I have no, and a wise man or woman would know, just like with us, we tell our kids when we grow up, or when they grow up, we tell our kids, we say, mommy and daddy has done a great sacrifice for you. And we mean that because of all we go through for our children to make them successful and make them have a nice life. Well, if that's the case, what about those who came before us, Kev, who made this place a place where you and I can say, hey, we can do a broadcast. We can get up and go do things. Yeah, we still have some limitations, but the bottom line is, we're still not being treated the way we were. And so therefore we must go back and think about those ancestors and say, it had to be tough, Kev. It had to be hard.
You couldn't even talk like this on the street.
No, you could. You better not.
Yeah, you could. And that people get, and then see, I appreciate what you just said about those that paved the way for us to be able to do the things that we do. But another way that we can look at those people that come over here and show disrespect, when we go to their stores, people complain about, oh, the Arabs didn't opened up this, and generalize who are they, what country they from. I mean, you just, saying a broad thing like Arabs or maybe Indian, whatever.
I got you.
But how they treat you when they come into your neighborhood and they're given these grants to open up their businesses, then if they're not treating you with respect, and acknowledging the things that you did, then you need to stop patronizing their stores. Okay, and we see that many times. But we go to these Asian nail shops, and they, and
I was just going to ask you about that.
Go ahead.
Why, Kev? Okay, now what you just said is powerful and it's true. What I'm asking is, we know that if you go to an Asian hair salon, they're going to watch you for the most part if you're walking down the aisles and kind of make sure you don't pick something up that's falling off the shelves and all of that kind of stuff. But the bottom line is, we complain, we gripe about them, about they don't respect us. They take the money that we spend and they send it back to their people and enrich them. And yet we keep doing this because this business that we're talking about is not shrinking. As you're saying, we shouldn't even be involved in it. But when a Black person or African American has a shop that's similar to that, we will not go, many of us, we won't go to that shop because of that mindset.
Right. And if we do patronize it, if something goes wrong, then what'll happen is, you see, that's why I don't go to these type of places. And I remember plenty videos that used to circulate. What they had, I think it was in Philadelphia, they had like the Black Panthers had to come to this store because somebody was mistreated or they made fun of somebody's African garb. And they was like, we gonna shut this down. And it's like, why do you have to shut it down? Those people should shut that down themselves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You don't have to forcefully come into a place and say, you did this, and why did you say this to this sister? Or why did you treat these kids like that? Now people looked at it and say, that's right, that's what I'm talking about. And I'm like, no, that's not. The problem is, why do somebody have to go do that for you? If somebody is treating you a certain way in your neighborhood, just don't go to their store. You ain't got to physically tell them to shut it down because legally you can't do that. Right. But stop going to them. Stop patronizing. You know what? You're going to pay the toll. Toll is respect. The first thing you owe us is respect.
That's exactly right. Today's subject, if you're just tuning in and commenting, today's subject is paying the toll. We're talking about the debt that is owed to the enslaved African Americans, and we're not apologizing. We're telling you the truth because this discussion must be had because many of us sugarcoat it. Now, we talked about those people who come from different countries and they come over here and they disrespect us. So we set them straight because you owe us. But now let's talk about people like you and me that look like us, the African Americans, the descendants of those. What about us, Kevin? Don't we owe a debt as well? I mean, it's not just about the immigrants. What is that about us?
Yeah, that's the sad thing. That's a reflection on us. When you have some of us, like we were talking about Black History Month. First of all, and we need something like that because many of us don't study stuff like that. Some of us, brothers like me and you, sisters like me and you, and people we know, we study that 365, and people say we don't need it because we study it all the time, and like, no, most of us don't. So it's not for those of us that always study and acknowledge it and appreciate it. It's for those that maybe we need to get them to do it on a certain day. Just like we talk about Mother's Day and things like that in the past. I say I appreciate my mother every day and I do this, but I don't mean that I'm trying to get rid of Mother's Day, because some people may take that as that's the only time they go see their mother when they older, and maybe she need that. So why am I fighting against those that do the least when just because I do the most? So things like Black History Month, things like Kwanzaa, things like that is things that we need to push on our people.
We really do.
And it's needed because you could see why we need it.
Right.
You know, people, it's a lot of us that don't acknowledge. And if we acknowledge the struggles that we've been through, we would do more.
And we will be a better people mindset from the mindset wise. Now, I wrote down about 5 words that I said that I was going to try to memorize them, but when you get old, things get foggy sometimes.
Let's hear them.
I want to give the African American, this is to the African American that's listening to this broadcast. I want to tell you 5 things that all of us must recognize when we talk about paying the toll for our ancestors. We must have gratitude. We must be grateful, man. We cannot be ingrates. You know, we cannot be people that just don't give a damn about what has happened in the past because you're benefiting from it. And secondly, we must have appreciation. Kevin, we should appreciate, in other words, we should approve what has happened for in the past as to the outcome of it for us. That should be something that we should appreciate, that they went through it. And then you've been hitting this one all day, which is the respect. That's the biggie. We have to have a deep admiration for those who've come before us. And then the last two is honor. We have to show honor, man. And a lot of us don't know what honor is, but honor basically is recognizing their greatness. We must honor them. You know how some people bow down to people and they honor them? We never bow down to the past and as to what our ancestors have gone through for us, because we'll never know the depths of it. And then the last thing is we should have preservation. You mentioned it, and we have to do it. We must preserve these stories. We can't just talk about it on this broadcast. This must be talked about in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, all throughout the year. But when you have integrated, that has taught many of us that we don't need to talk about this until certain days. Shame on us if we do and think that way, because of people that don't respect the past of the ancestors and what they've laid down for us is a people who are misguided. And a lot of us are misguided, but this is the way we get back on track. So we're asking now for those who are watching this broadcast, we definitely want you to call us at 361-405-6111. I'll repeat it, 361-405-6111, because Kev, this should really make us feel a certain way, in a good way, because they paid the ultimate price for us to get here. And we should be grateful that we're in the situation now that we can move the needle forward, so that when our grandkids and great grandkids, when they come up to bat, they can say, not only have our great ancestors paved the way and paved the toll, my mother, my father, my uncle, my aunt, and et cetera, and et cetera. So that's what I have to say.
When you were saying that, I was thinking, when you gave your list of us, of those things, those qualities, the burden, or who's burdened with implementing those type of things. And immediately, I understand the school is not going to do that.
Okay.
Of course, the school system, we already know the issues and the fight we have with that. But to me, that should be a family. That should be coming up from birth. We should be acknowledging that hey, let me tell you where you come from. Even if you're not aware of what you did in Africa, let me tell you about what we did here. Let me tell you about the reason we're able to walk down the street. And when a white person is walking down the street, we don't have to get off. When they walking on the sidewalk, we don't have to get off and move to the street. Let me explain to you what happened as far as Emmett Till. Let me tell you the atrocities as far as Trayvon. Let me explain to you all these things that has happened and what we did and why we need to do these things. And if you don't like where we're at as a people, just imagine where we were before the civil rights movement, the things that was happening to us. For those people to stand up and say, you used to have to get up and give a white person your seat when you was on the bus and you paid your fare. And how and why that isn't the same thing. Why we don't have to do that. What happened? Don't just say, oh, we did a boycott. No, explain to them. Explain to them how Claudette Colvin was drugged off the bus when she was a 15, 16-year-old girl, but feet first by the police because she refused to give up her seat.
Before Rosa Parks.
Understand, teach these kids some things that's happening and things that they're able to enjoy, even though we're not finished.
Right.
The fight is not finished. So if it's not finished, then who's supposed to take up that?
That's us. And that's what I want to talk to the men and the women today. I'm talking to parents, because sometimes we get the data confused. We want the children to teach us. Well, that's not how it's supposed to be. We are the adults. We've been around for a long time, and I'm not saying we can't learn from children, but we've been here, done that. We've been around. We've seen racism. We've seen the economic injustice. We've seen people having to pay, go into the movies. And then my mother used to tell me that she would have to go when she would go to the movies, and she said she would pay in the front, but she'd have to go to the back and sit in the balcony. And she explained to me
other entrances,
she explained that to me. So, but she, as an adult, she took the time and taught me, and not just her, but other people do that as well. But that's our responsibility now, because they're gone. They're gone. Right. So the onus goes back to the question. The onus is on us. But many of us, Kevin, and I don't want to be, as they call it, a Debbie Downer, but I want to be real. I want to be honest. And the honest truth about what we're saying today is a lot of us, we don't come forward unless there's a day that we're told to give them credit and honor. Other than that, we can care less. In other words, we're not thinking about them the way you and I are talking about them.
Right.
Do you remember? Do you think about the ancestors and what they've done for us and paying the toll just today because we're doing this broadcast? How often do you do it as a man? Don't you have more days like this that you don't have microphones, but in your mind and your heart, you're saying, I'm grateful for what my people did for me.
Right. And I constantly study those type of things. You know,
good.
you get books on those type of things.
Yeah.
You have discussions. If you have a social media, anything that you have, if you are constantly putting things out there, tidbits for people that say, okay, well, this guy's always funny, but let me see what he posted something about this. You know, look, you got to look for things like that. And it's unfortunate that many of us are not putting things like that out there, but we have work to do. Wow. And if we want other people to acknowledge and respect us, how are you charging them when you're not doing it yourself? Wow, that's the thing. So we should have that pride amongst ourselves. And the only reason that you don't have that pride is because you don't know. Wow. And if you knew what we've been through, then you'll have more pride in the way you appreciate things that you're going through, and how you see others that move into your neighborhood, and how you see they treat you, and you don't think that that's justified. What you're going to do.
Yeah, that's true. And what we're saying today on this Jah and Kev show, what we're really saying is that all of us, every one of us, we owe a debt to those who came before us because of their great sacrifices. What they did for us, Kevin, is unspeakable because we don't know everything, but we do know that at this point in time that there were many things that happened in the past that we're benefiting from now. We're not just talking about no civil rights, man. Right. We're just talking about a people who were bludgeoned, a people who were neglected, a people who were miseducated, a people who had so much going against them, but through it all, brother, they were able to give you and I what we have today. So let's quit talking about a government doing things for us, and let's put the onus where it needs to be, because many Africans who were enslaved, they never thought that this day would come. They never saw slavery being abolished. They never saw that. Right. So I'm saying that we have to have that same mindset as far as let's keep the needle moving forward, because this is something that is this is not a bad, this is a great thing when you think about it, because we're benefiting from it.
Yeah. And you said, like many of us are thinking what the government can do for us, and we should not ask them or beg them, because it's actually begging. When you keep asking over and over, that's begging. If I ask you for a piece of gum and you say, nah, I only got, and I keep asking you after you say no, then I'm begging. And we go to the government begging for them, we need to charge them. You know, hey, this is what you better do, or else. And you got to come up with strength in yourself and your people to be able to say, or else. What are you going to do, or else? Right. You know, I remember the Million Man March, the last one, Justice or else, where Farrakhan was there, and there's a lot of big celebrities. And the thing was, this is what we're going to do. And what he was telling black people, this is what we need to do. You know, stop shopping on Black Friday, or if you shop on Black Friday, shop with black establishments. You know, show them that you mean business. A lot of people scoffed at that. So if you can't show, they calling your bluff. Okay. You know, we have to have strength in what we plan to do. We have to get together and decide what it is we're going to do, and stick to it, and perseverance, and try to get these things to where we have strength and what we're trying to do.
You know, I think about 1865 in Galveston, Texas, and other places where our ancestors heard the news, even if it wasn't in Galveston last. I'm not here to debate where it was, but I'm here to say that whoever were the last ones to hear the news that we were emancipated, we were free. Can you imagine? They had nothing, but yet there was a sense of, wow, I'm not, I don't have to go through all of this, what I had to go through, even though it still persisted. But there was a part of them that said, I am so appreciative of those who came before me, you know, people like Nat Turner, you know, people like Denmark Vesey, you know, just people who really struggled and made sure, Frederick Douglass and the likes of all the rest. But that same attitude has to be with us, Kev. It can't just be an 1865 day. We have to wake up sometimes and say, we have to wake up and start crying. Instead of going to these religious institutions and crying because someone tells us some magical incantations and we're crying, we should wake up crying some days, and somebody says, what's wrong with you, Jahi? I'm just grateful for what my ancestors have done for me. See, we don't talk like that. But when we get things, we want to cry. Oh, yeah, I got this money in the mail, and I wasn't expecting it, and we're excited. But why are we not excited to say, if you only could imagine what these people went through for us.
Yeah,
That'll bring a tear to your eye every time you think about it.
Man, I'm a shed. I have a photo in my phone, and it's something I shared years back on Black History Month. I used to do a lot of photos, imagery, sometimes stories. But it's a boy, a young black boy, and he's sitting on the stairs with his hands in his head, and he's crying, and his shoes are like raggedy. His pants got holes in it, and it's an old photo, maybe around slavery time or something like that. And I feel that. When I go and I do a show and I say, you know what, this is my inspiration.
Yeah.
And I want to say, I got you. I got you. You know,
Yeah.
I don't even know who this kid was.
Right,
It's just some obscure picture.
Right.
And I'm going to post it. I'm going to put it on here. I'm
Okay.
going to show people what I'm talking about. And this is what it's like. You know how when teams go out and they come out the locker room and they touch something or they say, that's my thing. That's my thing. I say, you know what? I can only imagine the things that you got to see. You got to see your mom being raped, your sister being sold, your sister being raped, you know, things like this. The slave masters are sitting on these boys like they a chair and they taking pictures, you know, and I can only imagine. That's all I can say is I can imagine. And so I got you. You know, that's my attitude. I got you.
Wow, that's
you
awesome.
know, and we got to get each other, and we got to get those that we need to pay honor to, and homage to.
That's right.
That paved the way for us to do these things. And we could sit there and debate what about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, but these people died for their beliefs.
That's right.
That's
right.
more than many of us are doing.
Exactly.
We're not even being comfortable.
You know that's really a good story, and I'm sure you mean that with every fiber in your bone, in your body, I should say. You know, and I think about when we go to a place or we hear people applause. Most of the time when people applaud, someone has done something fantastic. Someone has done something that was appreciative. So they stand up and they give them a standing ovation. We need to give our ancestors a standing ovation when we think about what they've done for us, instead of just waiting for Juneteenth or waiting for somebody's birthday, Marcus Garvett's birthday, you know, Sarah Vaughn's birthday or someone's birthday.
Martin Luther King.
Yeah, but and that's fine. We're not knocking that. So we're not throwing the baby out the bathwater. But what we're saying is, when are we going to give them a standing ovation just because? Just because.
And give it the way you live your life.
Yeah.
The way you see that other brother, you know, I'm not going to engage in this stuff with him because we got a bigger fight.
Right.
And, you know, that's what I'm saying. You can do it by saying, you know what, I'm not going to do that. You know, I'm not going to act ignorant. I'm not going to act a fool. I'm not going to parade for this white media talking about another black person, another black person, and engage in that. I'm gonna engage in that with these black people and have that man-to-man conversation. If I got a problem with Jah, instead of me going on you know, social media and saying this brother that, I'm gonna go to you and talk to you as that brother that. And I'm not gonna put that image out there for our kids to see two black men, two black celebrities, or 8 black celebrities going at it with each other. That's appreciation for our people and what we've been through and what we continue to go through.
This is some beautiful things that we're talking about today. And I would also encourage those who say, well, you know what? I'm not like Jah. I'm not like Kev. I don't read. I don't study. Well, I want to encourage you to do so. You know, pick up a book and begin the process of delving into the greatness of our ancestors and the things that they've done for us. Now, a lot of it, you don't have to get it in a book. You know, you hear. But some of it is vivid. You know, they tell you some of the things that they had to go through so that we could sit here and drink coffee and drink, you know, whatever, you know. But the bottom line is, we need to start investigating, Kev, even more. Those who do, we will never know everything, but we should at least have that desire to say, hey, you know what? Because this debt was paid for me, I'm going to research and I'm going to look at it and I'm going to enjoy in a good way the benefits of what someone else that couldn't read, couldn't write, you know, their English and all this was broken because of the situation. That didn't mean they were dumb. It just meant that at that time they were not even allowing us to learn. But so now we've mastered the English language, many of us, and we like to use beautiful words so people can think we're, you know, great in a pulpit. But it's not about that, Kevin.
Right. Man, I'm gonna read a comment from our Facebook page. I appreciate some of y'all that showed up. Aisha, Lede, Coretta, and Barbara Royal. She said, comment from Barbara. She said, right on, brothers. We're the ones they should be pledging allegiance to, and the people yet push us back. And she said, but in saying But in the saying of the Queen Maya Angelou, nothing can dim the light that shines from within, and still I rise. So as a people, let me scroll down. I'm sorry for the stopping. She said, so as a people, we need to keep rising, for our struggle is real. We need more of our people to do their research on Unsanga, Ungonza Saba, which is Kwanzaa, and wake up. Awesome topic. I appreciate those comments.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, yeah.
Respect for ourselves, pledge allegiance to our ancestors, and we got to get and make others respect us.
Yeah.
You can't, and if they see what's happening now, it's not on them. I'm not going to put the onus on them to come to this country and learn about Black people's plight.
Okay.
But if they're not, I don't care. You better show respect.
There you
if it's somebody I don't even know,
right.
My first thing is you're deserving of. And the thing is, they disrespect us upon seeing us. If I went to the flea market for the first time and it's an Asian, and they're going to walk around and they're going to keep their eye on us. And if a Black person is shoplifting at an Asian or whatever, and they grab them and tussle them down, and I see these videos, and she was stealing eyelashes or whatever. But if it was a white lady doing that, you wouldn't be treating her like that.
No.
I don't care if she did something wrong, you wouldn't treat her like that. And then we show those videos and we see these places and it's like, oh, well, she was doing this, but let me go back and get the stuff I need.
Wow, that's good. That's good.
That's the problem that I say, the disrespect. And some of us show disrespect and dishonor. When you talk about getting rid of Black History Month, and that's I've spoken out of ignorance. Have those conversations. Why do we need to get rid of something that we established for us to learn? And if not for other people, it's for us to learn. And if they learn in the process, maybe they need to learn in the process. And if you don't learn, it behooves you to learn, because this is what's going to happen when you don't know our history and you try to speak on our people.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
You got people outside of us that come from, and I remember this Mr. Chang or something that people was pushing this around, and he was talking about our plight as a people. And I've seen a lot of brothers or a lot of these people that so-called activists share this guy's comments. Now, he's an outsider, a foreigner. He doesn't even live in America. And he's telling why Asian people are respected by the white man and why Black people are not. And I'm like, well, y'all haven't been through what we've been through. Y'all have a country and y'all know exactly where y'all from. Those things have been stripped from us. We have been bombarded with chemical warfare, biological warfare, psychological warfare.
Wow.
We are in a decrepit state for a reason. You can't come here and sit up here and tell me why y'all are treated better and everything, and it's our fault because you don't know our history. And I be damned, these Black dudes. I said dudes. I said dudes. I said, but they want to share this stuff and say, see, this is what no, this dude don't know what we do.
That's right.
He haven't known, he haven't studied our history. He's looking at us now and trying to give his diagnosis of what's going on. He doesn't know. We've been fighting these struggles for decades.
Wow.
We have leaders that has fought this, and the leaders that have fought this have been incarcerated or murdered in the streets by law enforcement.
That's right. That's right. You could Kev, that's just powerful, because I mean I'm hearing what you're saying and it's resonating in my heart, because oftentimes too many of us are so weak-minded that we let about us that we should be telling them about us. We shouldn't let no one come over here and dictate to us our narrative, because the first thing I would say to that person is, you step into my shoes. You step into my people's skin. You step into my people's exploitation. You step into my people's plight in this country and just all over the world, and you will see what I'm talking about. And you've been using a lot of D words, disrespect. I keep hearing you with the D words, so I got to add to those D words, because I'm a philologist too. I love those words. But we got to look at devotion, man. We must be devoted to this cause that you and I are talking about. This is not a 1 hour broadcast where these are beautiful words and Jah and Kev, this sounds good. I like what you guys are saying. And then when we're done, it's another year before we start talking about the greatness of our ancestors. And not only that, brother, we must be dedicated. We must be devoted and dedicated. And that's where our allegiance should be. Our allegiance shouldn't be to entertainers. Our allegiance shouldn't be to athletes. Our allegiance shouldn't be to all these people that we look up to. And we all have our moment where we might want to say, well, someone is doing a great deal or a deed. And that's fine. but our allegiance should be to the ones who came before the athletes, before the entertainers, before all these people that came over here and made all this money or just was whatever they were doing. We got to say, who put them in that position to do so? It was those who came before us, man. And they should have at least some type of moment in our lives where we sit back and say, I'm turning the TV off. I'm taking the cell phone and I'm shutting this thing down. And I'm going to acknowledge these people. And I don't care who likes it or not. This is going to be a ritual. My kids are going to do it. That's good teaching right there.
And the thing I want to, you said the acknowledgement. Sometimes we have to acknowledge. Many of us, they're going to have celebrities that they love and like. They're going to have their ball players and teams, whatever that they love and like. But when you see them doing wrong,
okay,
you have to be able to call that out. And I'm saying not call it out as in gossipy. Or you doing this, saying, hey, bro, I'm not a part. I don't appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to acknowledge as if it's something good that you're doing.
Right.
You may be right in what you're doing it, but doing it in this time or this way, you know, is not the right way of doing it. When Kaepernick wanted to stand or take a knee, you had many of these celebrities that went to the forefront that they stuck the mic in their face. And when they didn't like the support, the ones that support, okay, you go to the back. Oh, we found somebody that's going to talk and say, no, don't do this. Right. Jerry Rice's, the Shaquille O'Neal's, all of these people. No, not my flag, not my country. You don't disrespect them. And they're going to push you to the forefront. But you have to realize why have your opinion. I don't care, but don't go and let somebody stick a mic in your face and turn the camera on, and we see us putting us down for whatever we're doing, and we're supporting that because we like these athletes or we like these celebrities. It's still what it is. I remember Malcolm X being on plenty shows, and they have a Jackie Robinson or some brother on there, and they will have him on there to oppose Malcolm for a reason. And Malcolm will sit there and he'll know why they're doing it, and he'll say, this brother's on here, he don't even know. So he'll explain. He say, let me tell you something that the white man does. They like to put us against each other.
Right.
You know, even if it's a black person doing it, this black person is acting like a white person that like to have black people going against each other. We have to acknowledge those things that's happening.
That's right.
And don't play into that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's still a black person attacking another black person for a difference that a black person had with another black person.
Yeah.
And they want to publicly display that.
Yeah.
You know what? Take care of that stuff in private. Do you have a number? You know, that's not for us. Let's talk about something that we need to be doing.
I remember one time I was watching an old video of Muhammad Ali and Sly, the guy Sly and the Family Stone, and Muhammad Ali dealt with him in front of the world because he came at Ali in a way that was really disrespectful. And Ali basically said what you just said. He put him in his place. He straightened him out. And all Sly could do was slip down in his chair and grab his afro and pat it. Where, you know,
I wish I knew. I remember the show. It was a white celebrity show. One of
Dick
those.
Cavett or somebody.
Something like that. And see, but they don't understand it. And the thing is, this person don't understand that that's why they're there to be used for that. It looks better on Fox for them to have Al Sharpton on there to talk about Obama. And I forgot the sister that they put on there to talk about Obama, because then it's a black. See, we not saying it; they saying it, and they're so. Then when Obama's not in office, you get fired. You did what they wanted you to do.
Yeah, so you're done.
So you're done. We don't need you no more. We don't love you. You thought we loved you? Okay, but see, in Stacey Dash, they had Stacey Dash, and I mean, when do Fox have people like Stacey Dash or Al Sharpton on their show? But they were there for a certain reason. They used them, then they got rid of them when they didn't need them no more.
Just like Brother Majors, you know. I mean, that's the thing. You know, you were with this lady, and then when you went upside her head or whatever you did, now you're pretty much done for now.
Right.
But they use you see. And that's a problem. But, you know, we have to also remember that back in the day, there were always, as we call, sellouts in Uncle Tom. There wasn't as many because there wasn't as many people.
Right.
But, Brother Kevin, today, it seems like there are so many of us that's not interested in the things that we should be interested in. And what I mean by that is I'm talking about this kind of discussion. You know, it's 2024, and here you and I are encouraging people to respect your ancestors. We shouldn't have to have, now we have to have it because it's not happening as much, but we shouldn't have to have this. If all of us are conscious, if all of us are learning, if all of us are looking at the system and what it's doing to us, it's showing us what it's doing to us constantly. It's never stopped. but we're still looking at it from the standpoint, like you said, getting people that look like us to stand in front of a microphone and say something that's going to basically sedate and seduce us. And
distract us.
Yeah,
distractions. We placate to all the distractions and things like that. And it's not enough of us paying attention to those that want to do something positive, or just look at what we've done. Look at the, it's like when you say, okay, you're in church or something. It's like somebody get mad at you. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to curse you out because I'm in church. or my mama, you at your, the mama's house, and it's like, you know what, I'm not going to pop you in the mouth because mom, your mama's here, or I'm so on. Show respect like that because of what your people. You know what? I'm not going to do this because I'm because of your brother. You know what? I'm gonna let you pass them. Now, I'm not gonna say don't let nobody walk all over you, but at least like don't out of the little penny ante things. It's like we go at each other for nothing, a little or nothing, and we have no sense of pride within our people. Have a sense of pride about your people instead of just yourself. We have a lot of pride about ourselves, and not our people. And when you have it out for your people, it goes outside of you. So you may let somebody, hey, I'm not even going to engage in this, because it's a bigger picture.
Wow. Well, when I think about all these words that we're using and these concepts, I think about one word which I haven't talked about a lot, and I'm not going to be, just kind of continue to harp on it, but the word thankfulness comes to my mind. Thankfulness. We have much to be thankful for, because if you look around, we'll sit around and we'll look at, I'm glad I have this, I'm glad I have that, I'm glad I have this, and that's true. But when we are thanking ourselves for what we've accomplished, when do we put the ancestors in to say, I'm thankful that my people were able to withstand something that no other people have withstood? And when are we going to put that into our everyday language, our hearts?
If our people actually had that, that's lineage, that's legacy. And if we think about our legacy, many of us are absent of that. And because that, and it's reflected in the things you see, these celebrities that you listen to, that these women listen to, that talk all vulgar and all this stuff like that. And see, then like sister brought up Maya Angelou. You can't think about the things that this sister, and you brought up sisters earlier, the lynchings and all this stuff like that. You can't think about those sisters and these people that we put on the pedestal today as celebrities, and they're in the same breath. You know what I'm saying? If I can't talk about Malcolm, I can't talk about Martin, and I can't talk about Patrice Lumumba. Whatever I go to,
I got you.
Douglas, Booker T, W.E. Boys, Garvey, and then sit up here and talk about these rapper gangsters and things like that, and talk about this shooting and they calling our women out their name. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't jive. So one of them is left behind. And unfortunately, it's the ancestors. That's because true. You can't do both.
You can't. And we're trying to do them both. This is why the media has done so. I'll put it this way. We have allowed the media to do so much disservice to our minds. And this is why a lot of us run home and watch certain things every day. We've got to see these people. These people have become our idols and our icons. We cannot go a day without turning that thing off and respecting our elders, our ancestors, and saying, you know what? I'm going to devote this whole week. I don't need no one to tell me when to do this, but I'm going to take this whole week. I've chosen the week of March the 9th. And that whole week, every day in the evening when I'm done with whatever I'm doing, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to memorize what has happened in the past. I'm going to be thankful. And I'm going to have just people that's coming around that realizes that this is something that's going to be a part of my everyday life. This is not just temporary. This is not just seasonal. This is not a holiday.
This is not for show.
It's not, man.
It's not for show.
It's not.
I see you got the daishiki on. I remember places that I've been and I worked at, and even I go to the flea market and you see the Asian store selling the daishikis, and I see people running to, because that became chic at the time. And I'm like, why y'all running there? They don't care about our culture.
No.
This is something that they see that we want to buy. Oh, it's Black history. Oh, it's a fad that they going into. Everybody got this African, mindset now. The daishikis are selling. Let me get some printed up in Korea and real cheap, and I can sell them for $14. And then you go to the African store with a sister selling all kind of African stuff from Africa, and they ask her, well, how much is that? Oh, this is $23. I could get this over here for $15. You're buying it from somebody that don't care.
That's that mindset.
They're selling you your culture
Yeah.
for a price.
That's that mindset.
You're buying it from somebody that don't care.
Man, and we talking about a lot of things that's bleeding into this, but a lot of this is hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy. And we'll do a broadcast about that because many of us we don't see the hypocrisy, but we know that it's going on. But it goes back to think about our ancestors. Give them what they deserve, and that is give them time. Okay, give them respect, give them honor, give them dignity, give them applause, give them praise. Give them what they deserve, man.
And I hear brothers that or people, I'm not just gonna put on, but they critique. They want to critique Garvey and they want to critique W.E.B. Booker T. And I'm like, you don't understand where they were at that time and what they were trying to do.
Right.
Applaud their effort.
Exactly.
Even if you don't, you just not break down their political mindset or their religious.
I'm Garveyite. I'm Booker T.
And then it's like, so you're against this person, or this person was this and that. Those are all people that had you in mind.
That's right.
They had you in mind.
That's right.
They had generations ahead in mind. We need to make changes. I'm not happy with where we're at as a people. We need to fight for some things, and they dedicated their lives for the plight of the future.
Right.
Not just where you at right now, because they may be in a good place. They may have been in a good place. Dr. King probably could have been a lawyer or something like that and just had his little thing, but he thought about a people.
Yeah.
He thought about the movement of the people and an improvement of the people.
Right.
Many of us could do that in a microcosm. Do that in your home. Teach your kids
that's where it
about
starts.
their history,
right?
Those that fought in their history, what they've been through to give you the things that you have now, and why those things, if you're not happy with what you have now, or you shouldn't be happy for what you have now, because there's another people and there's other people that's coming off the ship that's higher than you. That's treated better than you, that's able to open up stores in your community and get these grants and loans from this government. So don't tell them just go to the booth, because those people that you're voting for is enabling that to happen. So fight for more, fight for better.
I think about what we have to do, and that's all of us. We must continue to do something, and it's in the concept of Sankofa. In other words, we've got to go back. You may not want to go back, but in order to be appreciative of those who laid the foundation for us, you've got to go back. You've got to go back to the people who set this table for us, the people who struggled, the people who sacrificed, the people who had so much done to them. But at the same time, many of those people, they knew that eventually they may not live to see it. And this is a great testimony. They may not live to see it, but they knew that those who came after them, they knew that they will put them in a position where they can take this ball and run with it, as opposed to fumbling this ball like many of us have done. So I say, go back and research, go back, talk to people. You can talk to some of the elders that's in their 80s and 90s. They'll tell you the stories. It's not just, a one-stop shop. Get it how you can get it, but you got to get it because our ancestors, they paved the way for us. So we should pay the toll for them. The debt that they have paid for us, words cannot express.
Acknowledge it. Just acknowledge
at least.
And like you want others to acknowledge.
At least.
And if they refuse to acknowledge, make them pay.
Oh yeah.
Pay.
Yeah. We've been talking today about the toll that we need to pay. Paying the toll, the debt that is old. It's old. When you owe somebody something, you're due them whatever it is you got to give them. And we owe them all these words we're saying: respect, honor, dignity, on all the things that we're talking about. We have about 4 minutes left, and I definitely want to take a minute or so to talk, and then I'll let you close it out, because this is the type of discussion that we need more of, Kev. We need more of these types of round table discussions, not debates,
right?
But just talking about what happened in the past and how that affects us today in a positive light, because many of us don't have the time to reflect. Now, they watch this broadcast, and I hope we've stimulated people to say, well, yeah, I'm going to start incorporating that. I hope this show is doing that, because this show is really somebody's church. This is somebody's spiritual meeting. This show is somebody's temple. This show is somebody's mosque, because they watch it faithfully. And I hope that we can always give them something to encourage them to become better people. And if we cannot look at what happened in the past and see the benefits as we are basically utilizing now, there's something wrong with a people, man. And I don't care what one believes. I don't care what one thinks. We know for a fact that had it not been for our ancestors to go through what they've gone through, no one has to tell us that we would be a very sick people to disrespect them and not give them the proper due. And that's all we're saying is give it to them, not just on Black History Month, not just Juneteenth, but because all the year round they went through it for so many years, and we're still going through it. But give them what's theirs. And that's all I have to say, Brother Kevin.
Yeah, I appreciate those words, man. I want to close with we're trying to inspire people. We also need to motivate people, because words that you speak in, it sounds good and everything. The end of the day is, what are you going to do? And at the lowest level, I'm going to say, teach your grandkids. Teach your kids, if you have kids that need to be, speak about these things and speak about what needs to be done. Okay. Talking about it is one thing. Appreciate those people in the community that have these events. You know, we always talk about Our Place, which is on 3345 Martin Luther King, yeah. And they have things every weekend, and many people hear that and they just, okay, whatever. But these are and it's others. It's others out there that's doing certain things. Acknowledge that we are in a bad place. And if you acknowledge that we are in a bad, now people that's comfortable with where you at, you know, you're not going to do anything. Right. When you're in the bed and you're comfortable, you're just going to stay in that spot. Yeah. But when it's too cold for you, or things is too hot for you, you're going to move around. You're going to feel discomfort. You're going to have to do something about it. You should be discomfortable or in discomfort for the position that our people is in. Yeah. Not you as an individual. Right. Have that for your people. Look around at where you're at as a people. And the things that's happening in our community, you should not be comfortable with what's happening. Wow. And that doesn't mean just complain. Right. Too many of us, all we do is complain. Do something. But do something about it. Support people that's doing something about it, or do something about it yourself. You know, go out and seek something that you can do. That's motivation. Motivation is movement. Go out and support us. Go out and do something and teach your kids, teach your family. Talk. Y'all want to have Thanksgiving dinners and you're thankful about something. Talk about being thankful for your ancestors and those that did something, or try to also do something for the future, because we're talking about those in the past that did something for the future. Right. So now you are the future. Do something for those in the future. Wow. Try to change the way things are if you're not happy with the way things are in our community. All of us have it in us. Yeah. Get together. You don't have to create an organization. Seek an organization that's already there. Support it. Become a part of it if you want. At least support it. You could go look up the Black Panther Party right now and look up their website and look at everything they're doing. Those things are not going to be on Facebook. It's not going to come on the news. You know, they're not going to advertise that stuff. But those places and those organizations, whatever, I just threw them out there. Gotcha. But you could go look them up and what they're doing and how they're trying to teach young boys and young girls how to act, and how they're trying to teach us to act with our people and treat each other. Look up their creed, and they're going to have everything that they do. And even if you're not going to become a part of it, support it. Right. Because those are people that's doing something for us, and they're trying to affect our future as a people.
Those are the words of a great mind, Brother Kev. I am Brother Jah. I'm going to play this music, meaning we're out of here. We'll see you guys.
Right. And I appreciate everyone that showed up. Hopefully we'll have another good show for y'all. And a couple of weeks, right? We'll be back in a couple of weeks. All right. Peace. Meow.